Thanks so much, James. Can you hear me okay? As always, you're the heart and soul of this place, as is Carol. It's wonderful to see you here. Greg Delanty's latest collection is The Professor of Forgetting. He is the author and editor of more than 20 poetry books. He teaches at St. Michael's College in Vermont. Greg has received a number of prestigious awards, and I'm very proud to say that he was the inaugural recipient of the David Ferry and Ellen LaForge Poetry Prize from Suffolk University. It's nice to have David's daughter here, Elizabeth, also a wonderful poet. Dear David was a big admirer of Greg's work. Every line he writes is irrepressibly alive, he once told me. And that's no small compliment coming from a true master of the verse line. Greg is an Irish poet, an American poet, and a poet of the popular imagination at large. His beautiful poem, The Alien, was recently cited in the Wes Anderson movie, Asteroid City. Now that Michael Longley sadly has passed, it's safe to say that Greg Delanty, along with Paul Muldoon and a few others, is in the top echelon of Irish poets. But he's the one, at least to my ear, that's head of the class in the singing school of the Irish vernacular English. And this goes back to the great Patrick Kavanagh, and back before him to the immense demotic resources of Ireland. At a recent reading he gave at Holy Cross, I heard Greg tell the students that he grew up hearing the dialect of County Cork, hearing English pronounced in ways that make it the closest thing we have to Shakespearean speech. How great was it for those students to learn from Greg that there could be such linguistic riches just by staying close to the way his neighbors talked. In a moment, you're going to hear a voice of sparkling wit, an Irish tongue alive with Shakespearean inflections, and the utterly pliant play of the language dancing over the grid of the meter. But there's great tenderness too, and like his mentor, Seamus Heaney, this tenderness is never superficial, though it surfaces from the gleam of common things, common in their everyday profundity. His poem, The Dust Gatherers, a chime with Wordsworth's Leech Gatherer, begins, quote, "Where does all the dust come from?" my mother would ask, sweeping the house away, vacuuming the vacuum, dusting the duster. And the poem ends, "The dust drifts alive in the air. The living and the dead settle together everywhere." Greg Delanty.
George is a great old friend. I paid him a lot to say those things, except I will be rude, perhaps, to say that two things. One, just to clarify, my English is the nearest thing in the English language to Gaelic. No, by the way, this is only according to the BBC, and the BBC is always right, as we know, right? Nearest thing in the Irish language to Irish, in the English language to Irish, Gaelic, but it's also nearest thing in the English language to Elizabethan English. It was an Elizabethan Gareth thing, you see, and Spencer and Raleigh owned huge tracts of all that world. And the other thing is that I have people have been sort of, don't be crossing me now, but I have a problem with the word mentor. I can't stand it. There is something like, I don't, James was not my mentor, for sure. He was a friend. Do you understand? I don't have mentors. I have loves and friends, and I don't understand the word mentor. It's used so much now. I never heard it as a child, or I mean, as a child. Sorry, but some people love it. I had a meal with it sounds like I'm dropping names now, but they all got the ambassador of Ireland, the last one, got odd with me because I said I had a student or a person that come to dinner that was a student of mine, and she said, Mrs. Ambassador, said, he's your man. And I said, no, he's not. There's something ownership I don't like about it, and categorization that I don't like. Excuse me, George, man, but I'll be your mentor anytime. Sorry, it's ingracious, I suppose. Half an hour, is that okay, James? Okay, so it won't be more than 35. He certainly won't be more than 35 minutes will be good enough. But I'm going to start with a poem from the Greek anthology. I'm not going to go in and explain who's speaking in this, but it's a con job. The books are all made up my own poems, but they're made up to be able to be translations from the Greek anthology. That goes to book 16. This is book 17. Found by I'm only a translator. Patient. I'm also an environmentalist. I take part in civil disobedience and being arrested outside the White House and give up my car 12 years ago and cycle everywhere and no gas or oil in the house. And I'm sure this is not what you've come for. Patient, little short poem. The snow has melted clean off the mountain. It's winter still. Yet another indication that Gaia is in trouble. That things aren't sound. The rocky mountaintop shines like the bald head of a woman after chemo, who wills herself out of her hospital bed to take in the trees, the squirrels, the commotion in town, sit bare in a dive, smiles to the child staring at her shining head, wishing it didn't take all this dying to love life. And I'm going to do something here now. Where's the little bag I had? Because my hearing aid, I can't hear. There was a little bag, excuse me. Well, don't worry, it doesn't matter. I can do it without hearing myself, but it's fine. It's fine. It was a little colored flowery bag. No. Okay, it doesn't matter. There's somewhere, but anyway, I got confused when I saw the lovely crowd here when I came in the door. When I say lovely crowd, the great thing about reading in a Grolier is that you can always say that you fill the place. Hey, Christine, nice to see you. I'll read the poem that has kind of become well known, in my case anyway, more well known than the other poems. The Alien, which it turns up in lots of places that you wouldn't expect, including the Wes Anderson movie. And it's to my son in the ultrasound, looking at him. So it was lovely to give a reading. I was going to try and explain something, but it's lovely to give a reading to people who don't need to explain something to students. So I'm just going to presume it's this length. I remember actually David used to do this, and I think I might have picked it up from him. I'm not sure, but that it is important to know the length of the poem so you can hold it. I mean, I suppose we all find, if you look at the next page, I have to kind of look at the next page. Is it how many pages it go on to, and then I can hold my concentration. The alien. I'm back again, scrutinizing the Milky Way of your ultrasound, scanning the dark matter, the nothingness that now the heads say is chock-a-block with quarks and squarks, gravitons and gravitini, photons and photinos, or sprout, who art there inside the spacecraft of your Ma, the time capsule of this printout, hurling and whirling towards us. It's all daft on this earth. Or alien who art in the heaven, or Martian, or little green man. We're anxious to make contact, to ask divers questions about the heavendom you hail from, to discuss the whole shebang of the beginning and end, the pre-Big Bang on time, before you forget the why and lie of thy first place. And, oh friend, to say welcome, that we mean no harm, that we die for you even, that we pray you're not here to subdue us, that we put away our ray guns, missiles, attitude, and share our world with you, little big head, if only you stay. I had one extra that there, but I didn't want to start. Huh? Which of course, I should write another poem, because the trick was that we did trick him into, you bring a child into the world now, to our world, any time in the 20th century or this time. And so I have to kind of write it. It has occurred to me that I have to write another. Sorry, Dan. His name is Dan. You know what I mean? Oh, yes. This is a book specifically set against the environmental world. As I say, I mean, I've always been involved in sort of activism, even in Ireland, even before in the 1970s and 80s. So I kind of earned this book in a way. It wasn't just because it has become so beyond urgent. But this is Loose Strife, an earlier poem, the plant that growing wide. Jesus, so lovely to talk to people that nod their head and say, don't explain anything, just read the poems. The only thing is that I'll bore you if I just go from poem to poem, so I have to try to say something. But it's a sonnet. It was published in the Atlantic, and it was called an American sonnet in the Atlantic. And I said, why do you call it an American sonnet? Well, it's 14 lines, no rhyme, no anything else. But it is an American sonnet in a way. It finishes with the word us, US, but I won't say anything beyond that. Loose Strife. You have become your name, Loose Strife, carried on sheep, spurting up out of ballast, a cure brought across the deep to treat wounds, soothe trouble. There have been others like you. The rhododendron, the cattails that you in your turn overrun. Voices praise your magenta spread, your ability to propagate by seed, by stem, by root, and how you adjust to light, to soil, spreading your glory across the earth. Even as you kill by both, by air, by land, all before you. The hardy iris, the rare orchids, the spawning ground of fish. You'll overtake the earth and destroy even yourself. Ah, or loosestrife, purple plague, beautiful us. I should have said, the loosestrife, we don't know why it's a European plant. They don't know why. They think it may have come in ballast from the ships, or it might have been brought over as a herbal. Will we read something happy? Yeah. I did something rather than fixing the reading. I just fixed up poems in different pages, and then I'll just pick and choose from them as we read. But this is a poem from Woody's Restaurant. A little restaurant in Middlebury. It's called something else now. It was Tully Marie's. Nothing is the mockery, even the restaurants. And but it's set on the Otter Creek. Short little prose poem, really. But I love field guides, and I have the whole, I have a whole load of them, and there are some of the field guides, if you know them, they have a bit at the back where you can mark off what you saw today. Today I saw a crow. Ooh-wee. The arrival, sorry, from Woody's Restaurant, Middlebury. Today, noon. A young, macho, friendly waiter and 3 diners, business types, 2 males, 1 female, are in a quandary about the name of the duck paddling Otter Creek. The duck being brown, but too large to be a female mallard. They really want to know. And I am the human watcher behind the nook of my table, camouflaged by my stillness and nonchalant plumage. They really want to know. This sighting I record in the back of my field guide to people. Oh, good. Learning business now. A poem. Oh yeah, a poem. A marriage poem. Since we're talking about birds. A poem that's turned up in lots of places. Billy Collins always reads it in his. He's often read it, and he's read it. He gives it to marriages, and it's a marriage poem that he likes, but other people. But I love poems when there people see them. Literary magazine, oh, they're great, literary magazines for sure. But I'd like to have poems in places where everybody sees them, as opposed to, because we're all like that, aren't we? On the Marriage of Friends, it's called. I don't actually normally say this, but my friends who got married only lasted 2 weeks before they got divorced again. I mean, I think that's a kind of a record. So I'm afraid to say that about this poem because people will start reading it, but it hasn't. All the couples that I've had, as far as I know, that this has been read at their weddings, they're all still together. On the Marriage of Friends. 4 line stanzas. Rhyming. So you have chosen the way of the swan. The way, perhaps, that is not natural to everyone. But I will not harp on about heron, bluebird, or dotterel, nor how the male flycatcher pairs with two females, keeping a mile between. So neither cops how the other shares the same philandering gentleman. Did you know the life coupling way of the swan is also that of the crow? And there'll be crow black days, you'll caw at each other with blind gusto. But there'll be times when you'll sing the duet of the black-coloured barbet, with the first part of the song sung by one and the second by the mate. We wish you now many such duet days, and sing for you like the red-eyed vireo who sings non-stop through the summer blaze. On this day you take the way of swan and crow. It being Leprechaun Week, excuse me. I being Irish, I'm allowed to joke about it. But I'm going to have to read one. Not that I'm have to, but to honor the Irish in America, especially. And it uses the folktale in Ireland of the wren becoming the king of the birds. You don't hear much about wrens in the United States. At least I don't. I love I bird feeders outside, and I get fabulous birds, loads of them. I have favorites, but I won't. But I don't. There's never any wrens. But it's a tiny bird. As you have them, I know, but I don't see not where I am anywhere in Vermont. But the folktale talks about the birds, like humans, etc. Who's the best? Who's the king? And the eagle, well, no problem. I'm the best, no problem. And everybody thought there was no chance. But the wren was clever enough to get on the back of the eagle, and he was so small that the eagle didn't feel the weight of the wren on the back. And the wren, when the eagle flew as high as he could above all the other birds to become the king of the bird, the wren flew off his back up into the air and flew higher. So that's where this comes from. There are some literary allusions, as there are in lots of the poems, but I don't like my poems being overwhelmed by allusions, that they should be understood on the surface as poems, and the allusions should be just of interest to anybody, whoever wants to look at it a second time, and that they do hopefully add to the poem. But you'll hear some of them. Slanting, well, slant chairs. This lint. In the land of the eagle. Our first night here, we pub crawled the Bronx. Still too new for us not to be enthralled by the street life and brew of all-night watering holes with names like the Shamrock or Galway Shawl, full of legals and illegals longing to go back, lowering pint after pint of their staggering Irishness, slanting the Dubs winning point, cursing American Guinness. After that country for old men abandoned them like the gannet abandons its young, not all of them make it. Those that do are more like the wren who flew high of the eagle of folklore, prevailing in the contentious sky. That's to all the immigrants, but it's particularly to the Irish people who, Irish immigrants. Read the one to my mother. I have read. This is one that I don't normally read, but I'm going to read it just because I've given lots of readings lately, and you get a bit tired of your own poems, like the way you get tired of singing the same song. So this is a poem, Noble Call. I use the term Noble Call. Noble Call was in Cork when you have a sing-song, sing-along, which they were still very much alive when I was growing up. Everybody would sing in a pub or a party, and when there was an occasion, and you had to have your party piece and so forth. So Noble Call. My mother loved sing-songs, and she used to start to sing songs so she could sing all night. But she died of cancer. And in a place called Marymount Hospice, which looked over the city in Cork City, where I come from, and which my accent is. So I have her accent, Mammy's accent. Her accent is the accent of all those who came in from the country during the famine, and later on it would be looked down upon, even still in Ireland. I once heard an RT interviewer back in 1986. He didn't know we was being interviewed on TV, and it was before I came here, and I had won an award, and they put I had the earphones on, so he didn't know I could hear him. He said, "Would you ever tell that fella fucking stop talking? Or could he speak more clearly and not in that terrible Cork accent?" Do you understand? And it was a condescension. It wasn't the neutral BBC Irish accent. It was associated with poverty, associated with stupidity, and associated with in a way, there are among my books lots of that lingo, and certainly in The Blind Stitch, which was my effort to give it dignity to, because it was also, even still, I don't know if you've any from Ireland here that live in Ireland, but RTE used to do skits, but always the dumb person was a Cork person with my accent. No matter how, which got a bit trying after a while. Anyway. But the hospital looked out, oddly enough, over the whole city. They've moved now since, and actually I was born, she was looking over the room where I was born. Just straight across the road. Very, very weird. So I just made it back before she died, to my mother. Tonight, I keep watch over your dying. The most peaceful night I ever knew. I suppose it's the release of your going, drawn out over chemo months into years. I soothe your agitated hand. You lie under the nightlight's nimbus, reflected within the black window. Your bed and you fly in the pane above the city's Saturday night din. Pure Chagall. You head into the stars. Over Summerhill, Capwell, Evergreen, the black ash, hover above familiar streets and lanes, bars, folk singing. There's no need to dash. Your name has just been noble called. Sing south of the border. One last time. You raise your voice above the tongue. You hauled a lifetime of plastic bags through, bowing into the drizzle, trudging home, along North Main Street, up Blarney Lane, or City of Hills, or Frisco, or Rome, or Buenos Aires, or Varanasi. Rain weeps on the pane. Your hand must be waving adios, ma. The night sky reflects our city below. Now every light's a votive candle, your Fatima. Behold the glass darkly. There you go. We do the dust gatherers because she was always a tidy freak. We might as well do it now since I didn't intend to do it. It's a sonnet and it's written in Terzarima, Underworld, and then with a couple at the end as a kind of a love poem. The dust gatherers. Where does all the dust come from? My mother would ask. Sweeping the house away, vacuuming the vacuum, dusting the duster. War was declared on the dust day in, dust out. Back then it was a mystery. She would frantically polish a sun ray, highlighting undercover motes in her dust-free home. Banning books, condemned dust gatherers. We had no notion it was our skin mostly, and that of Catherine, John Bray, our grandmothers, Liam Cunningham, Ethel Barry, Auntie Claire, Moses the milkman, the meter man, the grandfathers I never met. The dust drifts alive in the air. The living and dead settle together everywhere. We get a funny one up for the change. I have to stop being serious. Okay. Actually, I wasn't going to read this, but now I kind of lighten her up a small bit. Everybody has a problem with their socks. It's the single socks. I have bags, 2 bags of single socks over the years. The sock mystery. This Lent. It's about other things, but it's about socks. But it's Can you just excuse me a moment, because I have a hanky, but I don't know where it's gone. He blows his nose. A new poem. Poet blows nose.
You're thinking after a poem about dust.
That's a pose. Absolutely. Poet blows nose. God, how far poetry goes. The sock mystery. Open form, 20 lines or so. There will be the sock mystery. There should be an asylum for single socks. Lost, dejected, turned in on themselves. The twin sock, soulmate, doppelganger, gone AWOL, on the lam, slipping through a time-space warp, somewhere within the module of the washing machine, or dryer, rattling in the cellar's deep space. Gone, we know not where. To the afterlife of socks, the Elysium of Argyle, the Valhalla of winter woolies, the Shangri-La of crew, gold toe, tennis, summerwear. Surely there's no purgatory or hell for socks. even for absconders who walk out on partners, family, before their souls are worn threadbare, their number up. The odd time it happens, these socks get lonely for the earth. And weeks, months later, the prodigals neatly reappear under a bed, cushion, wardrobe, only to discover their partners have disappeared. Passed on, unable to make it alone. But how good it is to see socks united once more, folded into each other, close, touching, at one. The deserter promising to stay put, not to take a hike, not to do a runner this time. No greater joy is known than on these occasions. Such dancing, such cavorting, such jubilation in the kingdom of socks. Thank you. There's a lot of short poems in this, and one of the things a poem comes out, probably better for me not to say here, but after saying that, I'm going to say it now. One is for sorrow, two is for joy, three is, it's a saying in Britain and Ireland. If you see a magpie, one is, I mean, everybody knows this in Ireland. Everybody knows it in Britain. You see a magpie, you know, the black and white, we see them everywhere, but they're all over Ireland. Schizophrenic crows. You'd say one is for sorrow. And then you'd have to do, well, different charms to get the bad luck away or the sorrow. Anyway. It's only, I think it's a haiku, actually, whatever is supposed to be haiku, but that's another story. Again, One is for Sorrow is the title of the poem. And the poem is, a magpie flaps across our path. Old news, pal. Old news. It would make more sense to you if you knew how common the understanding would be, you know. Old news, pal, old news. What do we say now? What do we do now, huh? Pearl. You all know how the pearl is made, so I'm not even going to start that, but it's a short poem. Okay. The trick of life, really, I suppose, ultimately, for us all, to make something good out of all the shit, bad stuff coming that we created and making. Anyway, pearl. Look, the result of a natural defense against an intruder. Whatever will damage, hurt the small soul, the soft-bodied creature, oyster or mussel inside. The mollusk captures, coats, covers the trouble. Layer upon layer with iridescent nacre, made from argonite, calcite, binding concholan. Hold it up to the light. See light itself broken down within shining depths. Reflection, refraction, diffraction. You can tell the quality by the hard, lucid surface. The refined luster of survival. I shut up. Say to myself. So, other poem that I got. This is a poem from the end of the Greek anthology. I'm going to stop now, actually, after this. It's a good one to finish up in. Sorry, you're very good. I had a lovely time. I'm only getting into it now, really. Huh? Thank you. I can't. Sorry, my hearing. I love landing in a foreign city in the morning. Anyway, this is from Greek anthology, that famous book that was found, refound. But this is called The Traveller's Grace. Nothing like landing in a foreign city early morning, preferably in weekday hubbub. Everyone going about their business, lost in themselves. Not a thought of how strange, foreign, alien their lives are. How abnormal to think it normal to find ourselves on a spinning ball reeling around a star at thousands of miles per hour from who knows where to who knows where. How outlandish. I am one of the sacred dead, released from the underworld of the mundane, the banal. Behold the normal. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. There's nothing worse than facing nobody there, like. Well, actually, there is one thing worth 2 or 3 people. Thanks a million, love. Yeah, thank you, man. You say and when you want. But let me.
Let's give Greg a round of applause for a wonderful reading tonight.
Let's give the readers. There's so few readers left in the world. It's fantastic that you. Thank you, and I know that a good few of you are practitioners, and the best of luck with it. All right. Okay, that's me.
Thank you so much for attending this evening. We have some books for sale. Greg will be signing the books. Thank you so much for coming. If everyone could please put your chairs up against one of the walls, I would be very grateful. Thank you.
I get over your hair here.
Excellent reading. Thank you very much for giving it.
You're very welcome.
Love it too.
I don't know where I know you from, but I know your faces.
There's an old lady. Oh, you